Hello and welcome or welcome back to the channel. I'm Jen with Bohemian Path Tarot and it is time for March readings. This month I am using the Runes for a Modern Life rune deck, the Modern Witches Tarot deck, and the Familiar Field Animal Oracle. As always, these will be intuitive general readings, so not every message that comes through for your sign will be for you. Take what resonates, leave the rest. I invite you to check out the readings for your sun sign, your moon sign, your rising sign. If you have a stellium in a particular sign, cross watchers are welcome, of course. And all of the zodiac signs will be time-stamped in the description box below. So feel free to jump ahead to your sign and I will catch up with you there. See you soon. Hello, Aries. Let's grab your rune first. Ooh, nice one. Degas. Okay. Oh, you know what? We better get your animal oracle first before your tarot. Nice. Beaver. All right, now to the tarot. Mm-hmm. Oh, wow. Okay. Yep. All right. So first of all, we love the rune. Let's get it in focus. Degas is a breakthrough. It's a very positive rune. It indicates, it's kind of like the sun coming up, the clarity, the energy, a positive force. It can indicate transformation, the rising of positive energy, positive influence, your sort of like your vitality increasing, your momentum increasing, a new day is dawning, a new chapter is dawning, having the clarity to move forward. If you have felt maybe blocked or trapped or stymied or not sure which way to go through, and this is going to come up in your tarot in just a second. This rune says there's going to be a breakthrough, there's going to be movement, there's going to be clarity or decisive action or a path, a decision, a reason, the clarity to move forward. So we love that, right? Now, that ties in nicely with your animal mentor here. Persistence, planning, creation are the themes that come with beaver. You know, the beaver has to have the foresight to create, right? They have to plan. They have to have talent and skill and all of that. But with building the sorts of structures that the beaver is known for, they have to think about it. They have to have a plan. They have to collect the resources and put the right pieces in place in the right sort of formation at the right time. Put the bigger pieces on the bottom and save the smaller pieces for the top, I assume. I mean, I've never, I'm not an architect. But so this is a great omen for any sort of artists or anyone who does any sort of thing that any sort of project that requires multi phases, multi steps. There may even be delegation required, but a need for you to be a leader with this. So keep that in mind, but certainly planning and persistence and absolutely creation are the themes here. Now, looking at your tarot, that's all the themes that we talked about with your oracle cards are here in your tarot for March. But what we have for the sort of theme card here is the Two of Swords, which can sometimes indicate a hesitation to make a decision. And with the Two of Swords, that indicates there is maybe a lack of information. You perhaps are torn between two options or not sure which way to go, usually because you don't have enough information or your head and your heart aren't yet in alignment about which way to go. But of course, as we discussed with your rune, there will be a breakthrough this month. So if you are heading in to March with this hesitation or this lack of information, there is a moment of clarity. The information comes through, or your own sort of decisiveness or vitality returns, or there's this breakthrough moment. I would encourage you to do a little bit of research. The Two of Swords encourages the gathering of more information or having another conversation, or, as we'll see in your clarifying cards here, it might be about getting a new perspective. There may be an option you haven't yet considered that actually brings you your breakthrough moment. So we see with the Ace of Wands, we see you have, again, this vitality piece as, foreshadowed in Degas here. The Ace of Wands is a new chapter in terms of your vitality, your ambition, your get up and go, right? It augurs a time when you're excited to go out and share your thoughts, your creativity. For folks who are in the arts, this could be a new artistic project like a new play or joining a band or taking an improv class or something like that. For athletic people, this can be training for a marathon or joining a new gym or joining a new team, something along those lines. Both of those, kind of essences, either creative arts or athletics, are bound up in the suit of wands because it has to do with your vitality, your passions, your drive, right? Now, we do see the Two of Wands here, and the Two of Wands can indicate a planning phase, echoing your beaver card. The fact that it's reversed, I'm not worried about, and you shouldn't be either. It can indicate maybe a hesitation, or again, a lack of information or an imbalance. Maybe you start off really strong and then you go kind of beyond the lines or color outside the lines or something. There's no shame to kind of pull back a little bit, regroup, revisit your blueprints or your plans, or, kind of get back to, basics, and revisit the original inspiration, as it were. Or it may be about getting a new perspective. The Hanged One is really about finding sort of information or kind of getting clarity from going beyond what you have tried in the past and getting a new perspective. You can see obviously in this card, our central character is upside down, but she doesn't look upset. She doesn't look endangered. She's really having a meditative moment. And in some versions of the Hanged One, this character is actually kind of, you know, having a kind of a gymnast moment about it and enjoying, being upside down, being kind of a yogi about it. So if you need to have a spa weekend and literally get away to get a new perspective, the end of March can indicate a time for a spring break for some folks. If you can get away, that might be helpful. But certainly putting yourself in a place where you can get a different perspective, you might be able to see that other option that gives you that breakthrough, that allows you to get back into, planning and the persistence piece. There's, even if the plans go a little bit awry, there is no need to leave the dam behind, as it were. It's just about tweaking the original plans, but sticking with what you are creating. So I hope that's helpful. The breakthrough you need and the clarity is on the way to enjoy this new chapter of this project, whatever it is, whether it's a creative project or an athletic project, whatever it is tied to your ambition, and you are going to get out of this sort of moment of hesitation and find your way through, find the clarity, and move forward. So I'm going to leave it there for you, Aries. It looks like a really exciting month for progress. I hope this was inspiring. Hello, Taurus. Let's get your rune first. Oh, nice one, Rado. Okay, and oops, and your animal mentor. Love it, penguin. Okay, and your tarot. Ooh. Oh, wow. That's a lot of air energy. It's a lot of swords. Okay. So starting with your rune, we have Rod, or Rido, or Rado, which is transport or journey or the wheel, which can indicate messages or journeys. It can speak to kind of progress in terms of your career or movement generally. Travel, of course, for pleasure as well, but sometimes travel for your career. And but it can also indicate travel in terms of the traveling of messages. Because we've got a lot of air energy here, I'm thinking that the aspect of this rune that deals with the messaging aspect is at play in your reading here. Now, your animal oracle card, the penguin, speaks to kind of society and order, and because penguins are known for being social, and it being, there's that kind of togetherness energy of penguins. They're kind of tribal in that cute way, right? So they're kind of devoted to each other. And with the swords and so much sword energy, we see messages of kind of that connectedness and how you are connected to others and connecting to others and sharing your messages, thoughts, philosophies. So let's get into that piece. The theme card for your tarot is the Knight of Swords, which indicates sort of communication or perhaps a negotiation that inspires change or requires change. This could be a work negotiation, like maybe you get a promotion and that like really changes things, like up to a corner office, or you change your hours, or it could be the kind of thing where you want to limit your hours so you have more time with your kids or something like that. Or you want more time to devote to the great American novel you're working on, or the great Canadian novel, depending wherever you live. Take it as it resonates for you, right? But this usually indicates a really swift and significant change is required in response to a conversation or negotiation. Now, the clarifying cards show, first we have the Nine of Pentacles, which indicates a time of more independence. So it suggests this conversation or negotiation, whatever this piece is, might have you negotiating something that gives you more independence. So whether it's something that gives you more freedom, or it gives you, negotiating your retirement, or negotiating a role at work that makes you feel more aligned with, the sorts of duties you're doing at work, might feel more like freedom. Or it could be something where you actually go into work for yourself and you negotiate. The negotiation is for something like a food truck, and now you're selling your cupcakes out of your food truck or something like that. It could be something along those lines. It doesn't have to be career oriented. This could be relationship oriented. This conversation could be, and take this as it resonates in your world, but it could be the sort of thing where you have a breakup that is timely and right in your world, that gives you more freedom and independence. Not to make anyone feel alarmed. If this is not right for you, this is not right for you, but sometimes for some people, the Queen of Swords can represent being a single woman alone, like a divorced woman. So take it as it resonates for you. If that message is not for you, that obviously you don't have to take that on, but it could be something along those lines. But there is a message here about cutting or trimming away what does not work for you. That's ultimately what the Knight of Swords negotiates. Getting rid of something that does not work, moving on to something that is more streamlined and truthful, something that offers you more independence and more reserved for yourself, so that allows you maybe more time or more resources for yourself. And The Queen of Swords can represent you honestly asking for what you need without being too flowery about it, being clear about what your needs are, and having the clarity, but also the clarity of mind, but also the clarity of language to ask for what you need, and the presence to present it without apology, right? And finally, we have the Seven of Swords. Now, I'm going to say, I see the Seven of Swords interpreted different ways across the internet, right? And sometimes the Seven of Swords is not interpreted very favorably. I actually see the Seven of Swords as a card of strategy. And so when this comes up, it can indicate a time when you use your words judiciously, or when you can negotiate from a position of power because you have insight or information, or for some reason have some evidence or an upper hand. It can be the sort of thing where if you have a court case, you have better evidence, or you have a good lawyer, or for some reason you have strategy on your side. It can be the sort of thing when you go into negotiations at work, you can present a good case for why you deserve a promotion, or why you can do your job with less hours, or whatever it is. So it's using strategy to get what you want. That it's kind of having an upper hand. So it's not about being sneaky or lying. It's being smart, working smarter, not harder, kind of speaking smarter and negotiating smarter. So to sum up, your rune card could indicate some kind of travel or journey, but it could also be speaking to a leveling up as the journey piece, or it could be speaking to the messaging aspect of this particular rune, because there's a lot in your tarot that speaks to clear communication that leads to sort of an advancement or an up-leveling in your life. There's a piece here about strategy and definitely looking out for your own interests in a way that allows for more independence and the ability to work smarter and not harder. There is the suggestion here that you present your case without flowery language or apology. Just state your case clearly and concisely. And looking out for yourself doesn't make you antisocial. It's actually for the benefit of your situation, for you to make this change at this time. So Taurus, I'm going to leave it there for you. I hope this has been inspiring. Hello, Gemini. Let's get your rune card first. So Willow. Lovely. Okay, and your familiar field oracle card. Oh, the dog. Okay, and your tarot. Nine of Pentacles. Everything is fine. King of Pentacles. Death. I'm going to pull from the bottom of the deck there. So, clarifier for everything is fine. Okay. So starting with your Rune card, we love this one. This is essentially the rune of the sun, Sowilo. It's clarity, victory, it's positive energy. There's no like reversed or a negative associated with this particular rune. It is positive energy, clear vision, progress, honor, achievement, forward movement. It can also mean like rest or rest as you are making progress. So taking a little time out on your sort of victory march, as it were. So, you know, with March having a kind of spring break at the end, this could indicate a time when you travel for rest and recuperation. It could be that for some folks. But for others, this could just be indicating that time when you get clarity, when you see what's ahead, when you see the victory, when you see the path forward. You know, it's very much a positive sort of progress, victory, easy movement, easy progress. Have I said progress enough? So it's a positive omen for the month. Now, that's echoed very nicely over here with your animal oracle from the familiar field oracle deck. Loyalty, affection, companionship. This is just the sweetest, you know, animal mentor over here. Indicates a time when you know, experience, affection, positive relationships, companionship. This can even indicate puppy love for some. Take it as it resonates for you, but certainly if you've put yourself out there on those dating apps, this could indicate a time for new involvements, but certainly it can indicate good friendships and good collaborations as well. So take that as it resonates for you. Maybe traveling with your friends with the two of these together, but I think you get the idea there. Now, when we look at your tarot, this is very interesting. Firstly, we have as your theme card death, which if you've spent any amount of time with the tarot, you know, this doesn't indicate physical death. We're talking about transformation. We're talking about a new chapter. We're talking about an evolution, right? So something about you or some significant part of your life is evolving. So for some people that can be, you know, reaching fitness goals. It can be graduating. It can be deciding to change your major if you're a student. It can be deciding to retire. It can be getting married, getting divorced, leaving a living situation to, you know, maybe try the van life or, you know, take it as it resonates for you, but something about your life is shifting, transforming, just like the caterpillar has to take a little time out in a cocoon, change shape in order to become the butterfly. There can be a moment of a time out, a little downtime, like that little rest moment on a little vacation or whatever, on the victory march, that little time out, before the triumphant return as a butterfly. But usually this can indicate a real significant change, just like the caterpillar is very different from, is a very different form from the evolved butterfly, right? So it could be, like I said, with the fitness goals, your body could be changing. With the living situation, you could be upsizing or downsizing, going from the van life to living in a 2-bedroom apartment, or from a 2-bedroom apartment to a home in the suburbs, or it could be you're going from flipping burgers to working in an office situation. You know what the situation is for you, but something is evolving, transforming. Now, we see in our clarifiers here the Nine of Pentacles, which typically indicates a time when you are experiencing more independence. So maybe it's retiring, maybe it's more of an entrepreneurial situation. Maybe you decide to lessen your hours at a 9 to 5 situation so you can focus more on your Etsy shop or your YouTube channel or something like that. It could just be working a couple of jobs, in order to feel more empowered, writing your own schedule, writing your own sort of story, something along those lines. It could be going back to school or something like that. Now we also see the Everything is Fine card, which is associated in this particular deck. It's kind of an extra card, but it's associated with the Ten of Swords, which is an ending card. It typically indicates the end of a tough chapter, but the beginning of something, again, where you have a little more independence. You are afforded more clarity, more independence. And again, we have the Four of Swords, which is a little bit of a timeout card, which indicates a time to lie low. She's, in this artist's version, she's actually taking a little bit of a nap, it looks like, right? Various artists have different takes on the Four of Swords, but there's usually an element of a timeout, taking a nap, taking a little vacation, taking a breather, maybe taking being at a rest stop, something like that. So again, in your reading, we have this theme of a little bit of a timeout, maybe a spa day, something like that. But on the other side of it, we have the King of Pentacles. Now, this is a leader. This is someone in charge of their destiny. Now, this could be someone external to you who has a lead, a offer, a gift, advice, a job, something like that. But this is just as often advice or a sort of mode of being for you to adopt. It could be this is a call for you to adopt this leadership role in your own life, to be sort of the boss of your own situation. So whatever needs to transform or is transforming naturally in your life, because it has to, there is very much a call for your own sort of, not just independence, but your own leadership, your own sort of authority in your own life. And not to worry about finances, because there is this sense here that you are finding the resources you need to build your projects, goals, entrepreneurial endeavors, whatever it is. You may need to physically take a little time out just to regroup. But it looks like you have the companions to either collaborate on this trip or vacation or spa day or whatever it is, or maybe the collaborators in business or your artistic endeavors. But you certainly have the resources as you transform your life towards more independence and the freedom to be the leader and the boss that you know you can be. So Gemini, I'm going to leave it there for you. It looks like a really powerful, transformative month for you. I hope you find this inspiring. Bye for now. Hello, Cancer. Let's grab your rune. Three Zaz. Okay. I love the color combo on that particular card. And your animal oracle. Ooh, cool. The leopard. Okay, let's grab your tarot. Okay, yeah. Ooh. Okay. Okay. Very cool. Okay, so starting with your rune, we do have a little bit of a warning. That's okay. That's why we come to the tarot, right? That's why we come to oracles. There is a little bit of a heads up here. This is the rune of just taking care, being careful. Thurizaz is like the thorn on the rose. So while there is, the promise of something lovely and pretty in the rose, you do have to mind the thorns, right? So as you're harvesting something pretty, as you're collecting something lovely, as you're working on your creative project or your business projects or working towards your goals, there is the note here to go slow, be careful, be mindful of the little thorns. Now, as I am recording this reading, we are just about to head into the Mercury retrograde, where Mercury is about to slow down, and then we're going to go into a Mercury retrograde in a few days. And that's, of course, when messages can get a little hinky and travel can get a little hinky. Mercury does tend to mess with the details a little bit. So this could be referring to just slowing down, being careful and mindful around how you're communicating, how you're speaking to others, and allowing for time around travel and for things like your electronics, being very careful that you're backing things up, being careful and cautious with your electronics. So that said, you have a super cool animal oracle here with the leopard. This one is all about your power and your swiftness and ambition and leaning into that. So not letting the thorns or the little bugaboos that can get in the way of ambition stop you. still going after the things you want, trusting in your power, trusting in your, native talents, your swiftness, but being, balancing those two things, trusting in your ambition, trusting in your native power, but being mindful that there are things in the environment that can harm you or trip you up if you're too if you're not thoughtful or careless, if you're not looking around at the environment. Okay, I've belabored that enough. Let's look at your tarot, because who doesn't love the Wheel of Fortune as the theme card? This tends to indicate a new cycle of, there's no other way to say it, good luck, good fortune, green lights, opportunities. It does require that you participate in life. This stuff doesn't come just to your front door. Like, you still have to participate in life. You still have to say yes. You still have to meet with your friends and your bosses and submit your resume, or go to the grocery store for the free samples, right? But there's still a minimal amount of participation that you have to put out there. But when you participate, there's more of those green lights, there's more of those freebies, there's more of those, hey, I heard you were looking for a job and my other friend has this opening that you would be terrific for, kind of thing that happens. So whatever it is that you are looking for, whether it's a job or real estate, you're selling your house, whatever it is, wherever you need the connection or the good luck or the mojo or whatever, there's more opportunities to meet the right people, to make the right connections, to have the green lights. Now, what's interesting in sort of your clarifiers here is we have a little bit of a mixed bag. The Eight of Swords does suggest a little bit of a fear, a little bit of a self-doubt, a little bit of a hang-up around maybe those old insecurities. You see in the art of the Eight of Swords all the time, our central character is surrounded by swords that aren't really a threat to her. They're in the ground. She could walk away, but she almost chooses to stay frozen in this scenario. In most instances, our heroine could release herself from the rope, could release herself from the blindfold, and could walk away and choose a new environment, a less grim environment. But she believes herself to be bound to this situation. So there's something here, maybe some lies that the mean girls in high school told you about yourself, or a critical parent told you about yourself, or just society in general or something. There's something that you're bound to that you can free yourself from in March that will really help you notice more of these green lights that are available with this Wheel of Fortune phase. And we see a Nine of Cups, which is, of course, the sort of wish fulfillment card. It is a time when you get some of these green lights, when you accept an opportunity, when you get one of your kind of goals fulfilled from this lucky phase, right? And the Queen of Wands is the diva of the benevolent diva, I should say, of the tarot. She is someone sitting in her power, She is a leader. She likes to be the center of attention. She is someone who reaches her goals. She's creative, she's fruitful, and people like to follow her guidance or suggestions. She's an excellent boss, but she's also great at being a storyteller or an actress or a litigator. This could be a friend of yours, or if you know, you need a little more encouragement to find your confidence, to find your own inner diva, this is a great character for you to emulate. Take this as it resonates for you. This may be somebody who wants to hire you or cast you in a play, or this could be your call to step up to leadership, to step into your confidence, to step in front of the camera. The Queen of Wands actually has very much of a sort of leopardess, a leopard personified vibe about her. So as you pursue your goals, if that energy helps break you out of the hesitation, use that in your projects towards your goals. What a cool reading, Cancer. I'm going to leave it there for you. I hope this inspires you. Hello, Leo. Let's get your rune first. Oops. That's too many. Let's try again. Here we go. Ooh, a goose. Was that what it was last month? I can't remember. Let's get your animal mentor. Ooh. Interesting. Camel. Get that nice and even. Okay. That's so wild. We've got water and then the desert animal. Okay, here we go. Oh my goodness, that Nine of Pentacles has come up a few times. Ooh. Okay, wow. Okay. That's come up a few times already this month. So the Nine of Pentacles is clearly a sort of a theme, card for a few of us. But starting with your rune. So Laguz is the watery, emotional, feminine, flowy rune, right? It's all about sort of psychic energy, dreams, intuition, using sort of your emotional body to take you to make progress. So you can use this creatively. You can use this, you know, as inspiration in your creative projects. You can use your psychic abilities. It might be a month where you are more spiritually inclined, or where you have more sort of emotional breakthroughs. So interesting, as I sort of foreshadowed previously, that your animal oracle is then the animal that is known for like going long stretches without water. The camel is associated with travel and stamina and service. And it's, you know, like an animal that carries a lot and goes long distances carrying a lot, right? It's a pack animal. So here we are, we have an animal that carries a lot. It's like a workhorse, except for it's not a horse. And then we have this other oracle being your psychic body, your spiritual, your emotional body. So doing a lot of work or traveling with sort of your emotional piece. These are great sort of omens for especially creative types who are finalizing creative works, right? Like if you're working on a screenplay or a stage play or some other photo essay or something like that. These are great, you know, keep at it, keep pushing through, keep working. And then in your tarot, we have the Justice card. Now, for me, there's a few different ways to interpret the Justice card, but for me, the main way the Justice card comes up is actually in contracts. So this can be a new work contract, especially for gig workers, right? And there is often a call with this card to be sure that you are getting what you think you're getting, you're getting what you deserve. Be sure to read the fine print, be sure to negotiate as needed. And we see that with, you know, some of the other clarifying cards here. We see the Nine of Pentacles, which is often associated with independence. So it might be the kind of contract that allows you a newfound kind of independence. Again, especially for those folks who are, as I indicated earlier, who are creative types. This could be the kind of thing that, you know, the big project, the big sale that puts you sort of on the map or allows you some more creative freedom. Or I'm not like a book sales, like I don't really know that world, but it feels like one of those things where like you get the contract for a number of, you know, whatever it is that the down payment on the book royalties or whatever it is, the book sales, that then, or on a series of something, because in this Nine of Pentacles, right, she's got this series of pentacles here, and she's got some in reserve. And the thing with the pentacles is she's in front of vines, and the vines are supposed to represent crop that takes a long time to grow. So she has planted seeds that she has nurtured, that she has tended to, that take years to develop and ripen, and also can, you know, like grapes or whatever, they are generational, right? They're not just something you plant once a year. They take years to grow. And on the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith version of the Nine of Pentacles, it's grape plants that are behind this character. So it represents years of growth. So this sort of suggests years of effort is going into a sort of a payout that's you know, some comes in now, some is reserved for later, that sort of thing. Okay, I've belabored that. I think some of you understand. We also have the Emperor card, and the Emperor is all about building your vision, sort of being the boss of your life, and not just the boss, but like creating the whole town, city structure. Like the emperors build like the tall buildings and the roads and the monuments in their own name, right? They're forward thinking, but they are in charge of structures that last forever, and they delegate these great massive works. They delegate work on these great massive buildings that last forever, right? So when the emperor shows up, it's talking about these great massive works that you are building in your own life, your own massive structures, your own massive buildings for your own massive, you're building your world to your own specifications, right? Does that make sense? Like, you're the emperor of your world. And this contract, or whatever this is that's coming in, is just a piece of this thing, this master plan that you're building. It almost sounds nefarious the way I'm describing it, but it's actually a really positive thing. Feeling like, you're the boss of your own world and being able to create the world that you deserve and can imagine for yourself. And if you have any sort of issues around being a boss, being an emperor, let go of those right now and take ownership of making your dreams a reality. The Page of Swords indicates a time when messages come in that allow you to move forward. So again, this is very tied to a contract, an interview, something along those lines. I almost don't have words for how significant this sort of contract situation feels. And it might not be like a contract for everyone. Ooh, and this candle just went out as like confirmation. This feels like a significant shift. These two cards, Justice and Emperor, are very heavily weighted. And I cannot impress upon you enough the difference that this contract and this kind of moment where you like take charge and are kind of able to feel like you are the boss in your own life. I think you can see in the artwork anyway that both our central character in Justice and the Emperor here are seated on like a throne. They're sitting in their power. So Leo, take that as a foreshadowing for your ability to sit within your authority with this new contract or this shift. Some opportunity is going to appear, and it will be in your favor in response to the work that you have been doing in following your psychic ability or your emotions or your creative powers or even your femininity. And a message will come in, and it will leave you with a new sense of independence, not to mention the authority. And if you had been feeling up to now like something was stuck, something was unfair, not quite right, well, it's definitely going to feel like karma does right by you by the end of the month. So I'm going to leave it there for you, Leo. I hope this has been inspiring. Hello, Virgo. Let's grab your rune for March. Ooh, nice. He was. There we go. And your animal mentor. Ooh. We have a jumper. That's the monkey. Love it. Okay, let's get your tarot. Ooh. Okay. Oh, wow. That makes sense. Okay. Okay. Starting with your rune, actually, Awaz. This is the rune of teamwork. It's about having like a really tight bond with another person or a team. So it's a really great omen for partnerships, both business and romantic, kind of, but also like creative collaborators. Like, especially, I say this all the time because it's kind of the world I'm from, but like improvisers or people in theater, it's that kind of a thing. But also, originally, this speaks to like a rider and horse. Like when they ride, when they know each other really well, the horse can almost like read the mind of the rider. And, you know, we have that experience sometimes in improv too, when you're with an improv team that, you know, comes from the sort of the same school of improv and has worked together for a while. We have that, we can have that same experience where you just kind of without too much information, you can kind of get to know where your teammate is going to go with a scene, and it can be kind of magical. So it's like building trust that allows you to sort of become of one mind and really really understand another person or team. But there is a foundation of trust building with that, or having a history that allows that to happen, right? So that's part of it. Now, your animal oracle is echoing this. This is, the monkey is knowledge, laughter, and bonding. Bonding is, of course, spending time, getting to know, being together, joking, you know, laughing, you know, socializing. That's what this is. And this is echoed over here in the Six of Cups. The Six of Cups is also a very social card. It speaks to our connections, our very healthy connections, the connections that make us feel safe, secure. It's often speaking to sort of siblings or friends from our past, or sort of a puppy love situation, no matter our age. It's the social connections that let us feel young and free to be sort of messy and playful. So there may be a situation, even if this isn't normally your style, there may be a relationship in March that allows you to feel young or youthful or playful or reminiscent. Maybe you have a reunion to go to in March. Or maybe it's a new love that makes you feel that puppy love situation. Or maybe it's, as I mentioned over here, that collaboration, improv or theater or a choir, some sort of artistic collaboration that's really fun and lets you play, something along those lines. Now, the other sorts of cards we have going on here are really interesting. And let's deal with the elephant in the room. Why not? So the Three of Swords can indicate some loss or a severing or a disappointment. It can also speak to a time when we have to face getting our head and heart into alignment in a way that inspires that feeling of disappointment or a feeling of loss. So not to worry, there are other positive things, happening obviously in the month here. So, a lot of times in our tarot readings, I know I do readings for myself daily and monthly and weekly and all the time. So I often have readings where there's a mix of yay and oh well. And this is definitely, not a yay, but a resetting or a recalibration. So we definitely have pieces in this month where there's bonding and positive connections and, building some foundations that are going to last the test of time. But there is something here, and it's not necessarily connected to this puppy love or this foundation building or whatever else. This could be, maybe a work situation where you don't get the raise in pay you were hoping for, or something like that. It could be something else entirely. Usually, in my experience, when the Three of Swords comes up, it's, as I mentioned, the head and the heart are not in alignment. So, it's kind of like that saying, the scales fall from your eyes. It's a realization that something that maybe I had been hoping for or holding out for, or you realize the truth of a person, is disappointing when you realize that they aren't who they said they were, or maybe a working environment is not what was promised, or something along those lines, and now a choice has to be made, or something along those lines. But you still have some fun relationships, and let's look at some of these other positive cards. We have Justice, which is, and we have the Hanged One. And both of these are heavier weighted than the Three of Swords. So these are indicating that these two situations are weighing more heavily than the Three of Swords, than the disappointment, okay? And Justice can indicate a contract or a negotiation or a judgment in your favor, like a court case or something like that. So I see it more often when a contract comes in, like for gig workers, or you get a promotion or something like that. It can also be like if you go renegotiate or get a new rental contract or get a food truck or something like that. So it could be something where you have to negotiate terms. Just be sure that you are getting what you think you're getting. Read the fine print. If you go into business with a friend or a family member, absolutely get everything in writing, and make sure all the terms are spelled out, right? But usually this is a positive turn of events. If you're going to get married, this can indicate the marriage contract. If you're going to dissolve a marriage, this can sometimes speak to alimony or child support. Again, make sure you get everything in writing. Get what's due you. Get a lawyer. Do be sure that what is fair and right is put in writing. That's what the Justice card is all about. And then with the Hanged One, this is all about getting a new perspective, getting a new vantage point. There is an epiphany that can be had here, a new way of seeing a situation or a person, maybe a job, getting a new idea. It could be creative idea. It could even be something like understanding someone else's point of view. But it is very much about getting out of the way you had been seeing things or had been expecting things to unfold, and getting more flexibility in your expectation, in your mindset. And that could be what, that new vantage point or that new flexibility, or looking at something from somebody else's point of view, maybe even hearing something from someone, like really listening to someone else's evidence or something like that, could be what gives you this moment of disappointed clarity, right? But in any case, around that is laughter and bonding and knowledge and fun times, maybe with siblings, maybe with a new crush, but definitely building some strong foundations and, something goes right, karma does right by you. So, Virgo, I'm going to leave it there for you. I hope this has been inspiring. Libra, hello. Let us grab your rune for March. So Willow, that is excellent. Now let's grab your animal mentor. Oops, too many. Okay. Oh, cute. Kangaroo. I love that. Okay. Now, let's grab your tarot. Oh dear. Not to worry. Okay. Well, Libra, I am going to be honest with you and say it might be time for a little vacation, if you can afford it. If you can take a little road trip, something like that. Not to worry, not to panic, but it just looks like you need a little change of scenery. Now, your rune is very positive. So Willow is the sun rune. It is all about getting clarity, seeing the big picture. It is a rune that comes with victory and ambition and positivity. But there is also a piece here with maybe taking a moment to take a breather, to take a little vacation, have a little spa day, to look at how far you've come and to look at where you're going, to look at the progress you've made and look at the progress, and look at the direction that you're going. Because this is the Sun card, you can see everything ahead of you. And just be sure that that where you're going is where you want to go. That's not a bad thing. It's the clarity piece, right? Now, we have a related message, let's call it, with the kangaroo. Now, of course, we know kangaroos are super powerful. They have those great, powerful legs with their hopping and whatnot. They're also associated with family because of their pouches. But because of their power, and they're associated with energy and direction. So we have another association here with direction and looking at where you're going. Now, we have a third message here in your tarot about where you're going in the Eight of Cups. The Eight of Cups is a card that ultimately is about surrender, being aware that something has not gone to plan, that there is a lack of satisfaction, and that you need to let go of the thing that hasn't been working in order to move towards something else. So for different Librans, what that thing you need to move towards is going to be different. And of course, we have a message about direction, clear vision, getting clearer on your vision, achievement, taking a little rest before moving forward. We have the message of direction and energy over here. So the Eight of Cups suggests it's okay to leave behind something that isn't working. And oftentimes when this particular card comes up, folks will decide it's time to move on. It can be leaving a job, it can be leaving a living situation, it can be changing your major or just taking a semester off from school, that sort of thing. It can be cutting back your hours at work. You'll know what this scenario is that is not working for you, right? And sometimes we do this without a plan. I don't want to give anybody any bad financial advice. I'm not a financial planner, so I don't take any drastic action based on my advice. I would always recommend maybe having a plan B, making sure that you are covered, that the rent is paid, or that you have a place that you will be safe and secure, right? So don't do anything too drastic. But ultimately, this is about honoring your truth. And there is some part of your life that is not, right? So we see cards in these sort of clarifying positions that echo that message. The Three of Swords is a card that suggests a severing of ties, or a disappointment, or a sort of need to get the head and the heart in alignment. And sometimes it's about dealing with a loss or grief, that sort of thing. So this card could be moving on after grief, or deciding to make a change after a loss, something like that. It could be the loss itself, when you realize a situation, maybe a job, is not what it was and it's hard to move on. And that's the great, it could happen in that sort of way. Or a person is not what you thought they were, or a mentor. Sometimes, though, it could even be something like, this job path or this career is not fulfilling me anymore, and I don't want to follow this career path anymore, or something along those lines. It looks like you're not quite sure which way to go, and sometimes that's okay. You can try a few different things. It looks like there might be a few different options, or a few different ways to go. And the Seven of Cups suggests, right now there might not be a perfect, sorry about that, there might not be a perfect option at the moment. So it might just be making the steps now and figuring it out as you go. Sometimes you leap and the net appears. Again, making sure that you have some money in the bank, or a plan B or something. In this economy, we all have to be realistic as we support our own needs, right? And that said, the Seven of Pentacles suggests that it may take a little bit of time to find the right thing, and to grow the next project, or to find the resources to support the next project. The Seven of Pentacles is all about nurturing, and the harvest not being quite ready. And that moment of sort of self-doubt, have I made the right choice? But the thing about the Seven of Pentacles is, there is a harvest forthcoming. You can see her pentacles, which is the crop in this case, look pretty juicy and ready to harvest. It just requires a little more time. So it might take a little longer than expected to find your path, or to find the resources. But the suggestion here is that something is not working. Something is not meeting your needs. And so it's okay to start to walk away, and to find something else to fill the gap. And you might find a better perspective on vacation, or with family. Because remember, the kangaroo is associated with family. So I'm going to leave it there for you, Libra. I hope this has been helpful. Bye for now. Hello, Scorpio. Let's get your rune for March. Tiwaz. Okay. Great. And your animal mentor. Ooh, that's cool. Worm. Okay. And your tarot. Okay. Okay. Okay, so starting with Tiwaz, your rune. This is the warrior rune. There's an element here of doing the right thing for the right reason. So a bit of courage is often required when this comes up. You know, you are being asked, or maybe feeling the need to be something of a warrior, to stand up for what is right, to maybe put yourself on the line for something important, whether for yourself or for a loved one, or for a group or community endeavor. There can be sometimes the feeling of, I don't want to worry you or alarm you, but something of a feeling of sacrifice. We're giving up something important for something else important here. But it's doing the right thing for the right reason. I think that's the best way to think of this card. It's about justice in its essence, and sometimes it's like sticking up, being the voice for the little guy, or being the voice of reason, or being, taking a leadership role, putting yourself out there in a leadership position for the right reason. So this can kind of be the rune of like police or military or warriors in that way, and taking aim, for justice or for your community for the right reason. Okay. And then now this is so interesting. So the worm is, there's an element of being underground in what seems like a safe space, but the worm responds to vibration. The worm is also known for regeneration. So there's a healing piece, or there's like a healing modality with this. And there's also the fact that there's a simplicity element to the worm, in that it's supposedly a more simple creature. So take that as it resonates for you. It may be, I wouldn't say it's about hiding the fact that it's underground, but you may be responding to a message that other people don't really hear, in the sense that it responds to vibration. It might be a sort of a sonic healing, something like that. You're responding to a message, and it could be connected to this doing the right thing for the right reason. You might be responding to a community need that other people don't really respond to, because they don't hear it, or they don't have the same sort of sensibility that you have. Take it as it resonates for you. Now, I'm going to say when we get to the tarot, it's such a unique reading. We have a theme here. Your theme card is aligned with this regeneration piece we have with the worm. There is this need for healing with the Four of Swords. You may be needing more sleep. You may be needing healing from surgery or from a sickness. There's definitely March is starting out, and there's some need for, regeneration, healing, something like that. If you have a chance to get a spa day or take a vacation or take some time off, that could be helpful. But there's really a need for, it looks like, obviously in the art of this card, sleep, right? Now, associated or around or despite or while you're healing, there's some other adventures happening here. So these other messages aren't just associated with your healing piece. You've got like all of this other stuff going on. You have this need for healing, this need for sleep, this need for regeneration, and maybe a need for simplicity. But there's also this other need to speak up, this need to do the right thing, maybe for yourself, but it feels more like for a community or for a loved one or something you're involved with, right? We also have the Emperor card, which tends to be involved with building something. You may be building an entrepreneurial endeavor, or a creative project, or just your career path, or, a special hobby, something like that. It may be aligned with your family goals or saving up for your home, or other savings goals, something like that. But there's something you're taking like a pole position or a leadership position in your life while you're healing, while you're simplifying, but while you're also doing this community work or this right thing for the right reason. And there's this Five of Wands happening around you. Now, this could be in relation to a job situation or a hobby, a creative group or something. The Five of Wands tends to indicate an environment where there could be a little bit of drama or chaos. I see this happen a lot. This card can come up when, for example, in a work situation, if you don't have an effective boss or supervisor, sometimes the team kind of starts to eat itself. There can be friction between coworkers when there isn't effective leadership, or when the boss is away, or, that sort of thing. This tends to come up when there's some ego friction and certain people think that they should be in charge, or nobody's really leading very well, or the team isn't working very well. Sometimes it comes up in families when there's friction and everybody wants an opinion. Say, I often use the example when your sister is getting married and everybody has an opinion on who should be the DJ or what the bridesmaids should be wearing and who shouldn't be invited or what should be the entrees, that kind of a thing, when really it's the bride's day and she should just have the same kind of thing. So it might be the scenario where you need to take a leadership position, or it might be the scenario for your sanity, for your healing, where you just bow out and you let the minions have their little drama moment or whatever it is. Take it as it resonates for you. You don't have to be involved in every drama, especially if it's leading to migraines or whatever the case may be. Pick and choose your battles, I would say, because you already have a lot of other things going on, right? Finally, we have the King of Cups here. Now, this could show up a couple of ways. This very much could be you, again, in a position of leadership, feeling comfortable in your role. The King of Cups is typically a person who is very comfortable in their authority, with their feelings, maybe even with their kind of psychic role or their intuition. Someone who can read other people very well. Someone who does not suffer fools, but can sit with someone in their messy selves and can give counsel, can give maybe even some psychic guidance or advice. So this could be you in that kind of a role. But it also could be a sign for you to, bear with me now, for you to sit down with someone and have a bit of therapy for yourself. That could be helpful in what ails you, to purge whatever toxic stuff you're going through. Because sometimes the ailments that we're going through, the disease that we're dealing with is not only physical, but there can also be an emotional toxicity or a psychic toxicity, and kind of working through therapy or doing shadow work can help us relieve or release, purge some of the toxins that can help get us back to best. So I'll leave that with you, Scorpio. It looks like an action-packed month for you. Please take good care of yourself. I hope this has been inspiring. Bye for now. Hello, Sagittarius. Let's grab your March rune. So Willow, this has come up a few times. And that's cool because it's a good one. All right, let's grab your March Animal Oracle. It is. Oh my God, how cool. And that actually dovetails really nicely with the rune. Okay. Oops, too many. If those are meant to be, they'll come up. Don't worry. Okay. Here we go. Okay. Okay. Well, Sagittarius, let's start with your rune first. So Willow is the rune of the sun. It's clarity. It's progress and victory and, having the whole picture, because the sun is above everything and shines down and sees everything and has the whole the whole picture, right? And there's the same message of perspective and victory and freedom with the eagle. So we've got rising above, freedom, perspective, victory in both of your oracle cards here, in both the rune and the animal oracle. All right, so let's keep these in mind. These echo each other entirely. In the tarot, we're going to work through these victories, okay? So these are sort of like the end goal. But it looks like we're going to start from a different place and move out to this, because the tower is obviously, this looks very dramatic, this version of the tower. But it means that something needs to slip away. Something is broken or ill-fitting or keeping you trapped, keeping you contained, when what you need is victory and perspective and open fields, and or just open air and scenic vantage point, right? You don't need to be contained in a tower, so the tower has to fall away. And maybe at one point the tower served you. Maybe being confined in a tower worked for you at one point. But the fact that it's showing up for you means it's time for the tower to fall away. It does not serve you anymore. It's time for you to leave the tower. So it doesn't have to be dramatic. It doesn't have to be dramatic as all this. You can actually just, peace out if you want. It's up to you. If you don't leave the tower from the staircase down to the bottom and across the moat, well, then the universe will have to do the thunderbolts and nonsense. So, choose your own adventure, I guess. But the fact that this card is showing up validates that feeling that you have, that sense of eagleness or that need to hit the road, that the tower is not for you anymore. And this is echoed in our Eight of Swords card, right? Which suggests that feeling of being pent up, even though you're not really pent up. There's something here that's binding you. But the swords represent thoughts, opinions, things we've carried from like the mean girls back in high school, maybe a critical parent, maybe a mentor or boss who tells you things, or coworkers who just don't get your vibe, or whatever it is, whatever that tower is that's confining you. The truth of it is, you can walk away. You can take off the blindfold. The rope isn't really what's holding you. It's staying in this spot that, isn't really where you need to be. You need to be on the road, or you need to be on an open perch, or whatever it is, take it as it applies for you. But these thoughts, or these fears, or these opinions, or the anxiety, or the mean girl tweets, whatever it is that's keeping you in this stuck place, you can let these dumb swords fall away, okay? This kind of vibe is a little bit echoed in the Four of Pentacles, because the Four of Pentacles often suggests that we're holding our resources to ourselves. And by resources, I mean like our skills, our sense of humor, our real, like our singing voice, our intelligence. There's some part of our self, or some parts of ourselves, that we're kind of hiding away, that we're just not showing the truth of ourselves for fear of the mean girls, or somebody told us we weren't a really good singer, or, you know, whatever it was. Kind of, this is the holding back card. But the truth of it is, the red carpet is waiting for the truth of you. And, you know, you'll only really be free when you let yourself fully spread your wings, I guess, is what I'm looking for. So there's the permission to let go of the anxieties, or, you know, the crummy things that somebody once told you that wasn't true, and really just be the truth of yourself. That's when all of the invitations and the opportunities will come in. And we literally have the Eight of Wands is the invitations, the job interviews, or the dates on the dating apps, or the swipe right, however people swipe, I don't know. And this is your getaway. This is your escape hatch. This is your freedom. This is your, you know, escape, right? This is your eagle moment. So whatever it is you've been hoping to get away from or get away to, here it all comes. You get a bunch of opportunities, dates, or job interviews, or invitations to audition or collaborate, whatever. Take it as it applies for you. Here we have it, right here in the Eight of Wands. And this is kind of more towards the end of the month, but that's your escape. So that's the open road. That's the open air. That's what we move towards. But the caveat is you have to let go of this dumb stuff and open up and share who you really are, the truth of you. That's what gets you out of the tower. Okay? Makes sense. Oldest story in the world, right? So victory and freedom and perspective is yours when you let go of these this nonsense, and open up and share yourself. All right. There we have it, Sagittarius. I hope this has been inspiring. Bye for now. Hi, Capricorn. Let's get your rune for March. Ooh, okay. Manaz. Cool. Animal Oracle. Oh, Impala. And Capricorn, let's get your tarot. Oh, wow. That's a lot of pentacles. Okay. So starting with your rune, Manaz is the rune of man or person or self, but it kind of means person or human or self within context of community. So who you are within a group or your community, how you interface with your world and your community. So how you understand yourself, how you draw boundaries, how important boundaries are for you, how you connect with others, how you share yourself with others. So there can be a piece about giving and receiving, how important that is to you, and how that changes over time. So your connection to your own value, how that connects with valuing others, how that shapes your connection to community. Okay, and then we have this somewhat different, sometimes the rune and the the animal oracle card are speaking the same language. These two are kind of in a different, have different messages for us. This one is intensity, vigilance, speed. So there's a piece here about, kind of monitoring your sort of boundaries. There's an element of having a spidey sense with this one, I would say. That is a standalone message in your reading, Capricorn. So Minaz and this sense of self and connection to community and sort of where you make boundaries or where you value yourself and how you set boundaries between yourself and others, it does kind of connect to your tarot. But this one is kind of a standalone reading. So when that happens for me, that kind of, it says something, right? So there is still a piece about boundaries, but it's a different kind of a boundary message. This one is about awareness. This one is about spidey sense. This one is about the potential for danger and, knowing when to say no, knowing when to take off when you need to. The boundaries we're talking about over here between self and community is a different kind of thing. It's about where I stop and you begin. It's about how I value me versus how I value you, how we can help each other, what we owe to each other in the sense of community, in the sense of civilization. How about that? Okay? So, we've got that down. Now, your main theme card, the Ace of Pentacles, is about a new chapter, a new beginning, a new start in the area of your resources. So depending on who you are, this will be different for different Capricorns, but this could be a new job. This could be a new start in or a new educational program that can affect your career or your earning potential. This could be a new investment or a new property, a new home. This could be starting a family or, a family situation changes, like you get pregnant even, and that changes sort of your resources picture. Take it as it resonates for you. So usually the Ace of Pentacles is a slower moving sort of story. So you plant a seed now. Think of this as like a seed, and it could take months or years to develop, especially if it's an investment like a CD. It could take years to mature, right? Or a college education could take years to mature. If it's something like a job, you could be there for 20 years. I mean, we don't really have jobs like that very much anymore, but it could be. Anyway, take that as it resonates for you. And we have so many cards that support this idea. We have the Eight of Pentacles supporting this. The Eight of Pentacles is a card that suggests a craftsperson being really invested in what you do and how you do it, and really starting to make a name for yourself and your product. That doesn't have to mean that you own an Etsy store and you sell little widgets, but it could be that. You could be a student under the auspices of this card, and you could just be doing really good at your papers and your homeworks and getting on homework and getting on the dean's list. It could be, you could be just doing a great job at your 9 to 5, or flipping burgers and get employee of the month, or whatever it is. But take it as it resonates for you. This typically indicates a time when you're invested in what you do and you're receiving praise, progress, promotion, clients, followers, requests for advice, talking engagements. Take it as it resonates for you. Even if you're retired, this could be people appreciating you for running the book club or the neighborhood block party, or organizing the neighborhood block party. It could be any number of things. Now, we also have the Queen of Wands, which can feed into this Ace of Pentacles story. Our Queen of Wands is I call her the benevolent diva. She is very much a charming leader. She is someone that people tend to like. She tends to be very charming, magnetic. She can be a boss or a theater director, your favorite coworker. She's someone that people like to be around. She tells good stories. She has great advice. She might have a job to offer you. She might be the one that offered you this job, or she might be a collaborator, or she might be your college professor with some good advice or some good grades, or a mentor, something like that. But she is typically someone, if not in a literal leadership role, she has a figurative leadership role, maybe even maternal. People look to her for advice to lead, and she's often the center of attention. If she doesn't literally have something to offer you, like a connection, a job, a sale, advice, she could very well be someone whose style and attitude is one to emulate as you build a brand, share your news on social media, and talk confidently about your accomplishments. Okay, finally, we have the Ten of Pentacles, which is the card of legacy. It suggests a time when you may be thinking about what you have built and or what you are building for the future. There's an element of looking at maybe your family. For some of you, you may be inheriting a family business or property or item that is significant. Or you may be thinking of the future and what you are leaving to family. Or you may just be thinking of what you are building career-wise and the legacy of your name. Tens can even indicate the end of one cycle and the beginning of another cycle. So you may be successfully wrapping up one project while you begin another project. You may be leaving one job and starting another, or maybe retiring and finally starting that novel you always hope to write, something along those lines. But in any case, the Ten of Pentacles indicates a time of planning and organization while you finalize and turn over one cycle and begin anew. It's a really beautiful reading, Capricorn. You have a lot to be proud of and a lot to look forward to. I hope you find this inspiring. Bye for now. Hello, Aquarius. Let's get your rune for March. Ooh, Laguz. Nice. And your animal mentor. Monkey. Love it. And your tarot. Oh. Wow. Ooh. Modesty crystal. Okay. Interesting. Okay. So starting with your rune, Laguz is all about going with the flow. The themes of, your psychic life, your emotional life, your spiritual life come up with this rune. Obviously, let's see if we can get this more in focus. Laguz is about, is the rune of water, the water element. So going with the flow, and, that can be, emotionally, spiritually, psychically. It's a great omen for your creative projects as well, for doing any shadow work, for growing spiritually, for opening up emotionally. And I think looking at your tarot, which we'll get to in a minute, especially opening up emotionally and doing maybe any work with a therapist, or sort of shadow work could be helpful, because it looks like opening up to relationships is kind of what's coming up in March. So before we get to the tarot, your animal mentor is the monkey. And of course, monkeys are social creatures, right? So we're looking at laughter and bonding and socializing with this card. So that's on order. And when in doubt, reach out. That's what the monkey sort of advises or encourages. So the theme here, in the Four of Pentacles, when we turn to your tarot, is there seems to be maybe a little bit of hesitation or holding back, or reserving the best parts of you. It could be not wanting to share too much, not wanting to overshare. It could be in response to a breakup, or not wanting to come on too strong. But in whatever arena you find yourself in, whether it's, interviewing for a job, or going on a first date, or wanting to take a relationship to the next level, or wanting to collaborate with artistic friends, whatever it is, this card tells us that it's okay for you to open up a little bit more. There are pieces of you that you can share that aren't going to intimidate, that aren't going to overwhelm. And it might actually be holding you back from greater success. The fact that you're not fully being vulnerable, the fact that you're not sharing your best ideas, or, you know, sort of the truth of yourself. And we see this encouraged in sort of these clarifying cards. With the Fool, there's a chance for a new start, a new beginning, and the encouragement to take a risk, to be bold, to not be afraid to look like a fool. Even if you're trying something new, it's okay to be, you know, what would the word be? Something like a newbie. Take a chance, even if it's outside of your comfort zone, right? And we have another card of a new beginning here, sharing your ideas, sharing your philosophies, starting a new writing project, maybe, starting a new social media launch or project in that way. But in any case, sharing your ideas, sharing your truths, and being more vulnerable with sort of your communications and reaching out to others. And then, of course, we have the Lovers, which can speak to romantic situations, but it can also speak to artistic collaborations, new business scenarios, or even a new job, making commitments and connections in any arena of your life. And again, it just echoes that message of being vulnerable and truthful about who you are and what you bring to a connection or a commitment, bringing the truth of yourself, and only then can you really be committing to something with sincerity, with integrity. If you're holding back the truth of yourself, you're not really fully committing to a thing, right? So, Aquarius, this looks like an excellent month to explore new bonds. Could be in any arena of your life: romantic, platonic, family, business, artistic, in any way, you know, take it as it resonates for you. But the very strong message is to trust in your talents, trust in your ideas, and with that, there's an invitation to trust in your community, trust in your new partners, trust in your environment, that other folks want to experience the truth of you. So I'm going to leave it there for you, Aquarius. I hope this has been inspiring. Hello, Pisces. Let's grab your March rune. Ooh, okay. Othala. Oops. How about there? And your animal oracle. Oh, the swan. Okay, let's get your tarot. Okay. Yeah. People think Pisces are so, you know, hippie trippy. But speaking as a Pisces rising, you know, we do have our goals, right? And Othala, your rune for March, speaks to legacies and inheritance. But a lot of times when Othala comes up, it's how we're thinking about the legacy we're leaving, and what how we're making our mark in the world. Now, for some of this can be a time when we're maybe helping a parent or a grandparent transition, maybe helping them close down a business, or transition from a large house to a smaller house, and or maybe taking over the family business, something like that. But just as often, it's, the inventory we do when we're looking at where we are in our own lives, thinking about our career path or what we're leaving for our family, our, sort of family issues, and our place in our family or our place in the world, that sort of thing. And, when we connect that with what's going on with the tarot, I'll get to our animal oracle in just a little bit, but this is really connecting so strongly with a couple of these cards over here. The Eight of Pentacles is the card of the craftsperson, really invested in their career or a special creative project, right? For those of you who are still in sort of a career trajectory, who have ambitions, this is being fully invested in where you're going, your work product, being focused and heavily invested. While we have a card here that's suggesting that things are not going as quickly or quite in the direction that all the hard work feels like the return should be. You're not quite seeing the return you had hoped for yet. And so when we see this particular room paired with all this hard work you're doing and the sort of stock you're taking over here, looking at the return that doesn't seem to reflect the work you're doing, I just want to reinforce we have a couple of more cards coming later in March that validate this hard work you're doing, and that validation is coming in a couple of different ways. So stay true to this work that you're doing. It's not time to give up. It's not time to shift your trajectory just yet, or change paths or give up or throw in the towel or whatever. You are on the right path. You have made, all the sacrifices you've made and maybe your parents have made, or, take this as it resonates for you. Like your hard work is paying off. It is taking longer than you have hoped, but the harvest is just around the corner. We have the King of Cups here, which can indicate an offer is coming. This could be something like a gig, a job, a sale, something like that, or a promotion, potentially, or if you're maybe like an artist, this could be being featured, or I don't know how it works for people who like paint or take photographs, but when you're featured in a gallery, something like that, it could be an event like that. Take it as it resonates for you, but this could be or someone could want to collaborate with you, but typically the king is at a level where they have something to offer you. So this could be, it could also be advice or backing, but typically this would be, this sort of next level offer that puts you in a place where you are feeling, it's like an up leveling, right? It puts you in the next tier in terms of your project, your creation, your career trajectory. And it feels like it's a new job title or, a new level. So you should be feeling a lot better about the legacy by the end of the month. Now, let's talk quickly about your animal oracle here. The animal mentor we have is love, is the swan, and associated with the swan is love, allure, and purity. So this is speaking to like a pure love. Now, this can come up for us in a couple of different ways. I think since so much of your reading is speaking to sort of career or creative advancement, it doesn't necessarily have to be work life. It can be a special project, a passion project. It could be something like a hobby, or if you don't work in a 9 to 5 or gig work or something, this could be something like your book club. Something that you've put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into, right? Something that you love and are invested in. So this could be speaking to the purity of your love and your eager, earnest investment into your passion project or your career advancement. This could also be speaking to your investment in your family, because sometimes Othala is speaking to the work you put into your, taking care of your family, especially for any folks who are helping a loved one, as I mentioned earlier, transition, maybe if they're moving from a bigger house to like senior living or something like that. So it could be something along those lines. Now, the other way the swan is associated is with romantic love. And it's the pure romantic love, not the sexy love. Not that romantic love can't be sexy. But there is an essence in this reading as well of romance and being receptive to romance, because the Empress also has an essence of romance, and the King of Cups can also have an element of romance associated with it too. So being open, especially in the latter half of the month, to romance is in this reading as well. It could be that your special project, especially for you creative types, if you were working on the great American novel, there are elements of romance, or whatever you're working on could have romantic themes, or it could just be that, again, your love for your craft, your love for your family is, the version of the swan love that is at play here. So take it as it resonates for you, Pisces. I think this is a really beautiful reading. But again, the validation is here. You're working at your craft, and the Eight of Pentacles confirms whatever it is, whether it's your career or a passion project or your investment in your family business, your legacy, whatever it is, it will pay off. It's in the works. It's kind of like when the farmer plants seeds, there's that time when the seeds just have to develop, under the soil or whatever. It just, sometimes it takes time and nurturing, and the waiting can be difficult, but your harvest is just around the corner, and likely mid-month you'll receive an offer or an inquiry to collaborate, or a sale, or something along those lines that increases your status, or changes your job title, something along those lines, and really adds to your legacy. So there we have it. I hope this has been inspiring, Pisces.